World of Warcraft is huge, and I'm trying to explore it all with my own 2 feet. For every step I take in the real world, I can take one more step in game. In the real world, I track my steps using a Fitbit, and in game, I've created my own custom add-on to track my hero's steps. This is Solemate, and the add-on is synced to his walking cycle, so no matter how fast he's moving, it counts as though he got there using only regular steps. My goal of this challenge is to be healthier in real life and to explore all of Azeroth in game. This is Steplocked. As I enter the northern Barrens after completing my first main zone of WoW in 4 real-life days, I've already taken 57,661 steps. That's equivalent to about 29 miles, or the same as walking the entirety of the Las Vegas Strip 7 times. I've also completed 101 quests, meaning I'm averaging about 571 steps per quest so far. As I progress through this journey and gather more data, I'll definitely put more and more stats comparing the zones and my steps. I'll put the rules for the challenge on screen here, but if you need a more in-depth look at them, check out the description below or check out the first video. I currently have 2 days worth of steps logged onto Solemate for his limit totaling 20,074, so this will be Northern Barrens days 1 and 2. I spent a few of these steps finishing Durotar, and the rest will give me a great start to the Barrens. As I pick up the first quests and start killing Quillboar, I'll tell you my plan for the zone. Before I leave this zone, I must complete these 4 requirements while remaining step-locked. First, to explore the entire zone, resulting in the Exploration achievement. This one is self-explanatory, but as long as I hit all of the locations on the list, I'll complete this requirement. Second, I need to complete all of the storyline quests, resulting in the questing achievement. As far as questing goes in this zone, it offers 4 main quest hubs with some other quests scattered around. It offers 7 storylines and a total of 62 required quests for the achievement. I don't have a specific plan, but I arrived on the east side at Farwatch Post, so I'll start there and see where it takes me. There were 2 pets I found that were pretty unique choices for the Northern Barrens. Both can be found in one other location in Azeroth, but only one of them felt truly integral to the identity of the Barrens. The zone started simple enough, to kill some Quillboar and collect Planestrider beaks. I actually don't think the Planestrider quest was required, but I didn't think it would take me far off track. As I collected the second quest though, I make a slight mistake. I have to kill some Quillboar with different jobs from those last ones and also kill their boss. I remember these guys from back in the day being up on the cliffside, so of course I start to head up there. The map even agrees with me that I'm in the right place. As it turns out though, they're all in a cave below, and I had wasted just under 300 extra steps running all the way up the cliff. After some quick spelunking, I am turning in the quest with already over 2,350 steps in the zone. After only 4 quests, I'm averaging 593 steps per quest, which is higher than my overall average so far of 571 steps per quest. I've also already knocked out one of the 7 storylines of the zone, and they give me my first fairy of the day. I get to sit back and play a nice shooting minigame, no steps counted, as they deliver me to the next quest hub. Not all of the quests in this hub are needed for the achievement, so I find the right ones and head out. They send me to help a fallen Kodo and kill another Quillboar leader. This guy is pretty cool, and he rides a tameable raptor named Fez. I considered him as my pet choice for the zone, but I can't imagine doing anything cruel like taking him from his companion. Part of my task here is to recover 5 sacks of stolen grain. I found 4 by the first hut and decided it was just too far of a walk for the next set of huts for just 1 more bag. So instead, I waited. The respawn rate of the sacks was long, much longer than poor Tortusk and Fez's respawn rate, so I ended up killing them a few times. 7 times before 1 bag respawned. But it was worth saving the steps, right? It was around here where I realized that my ice trap is very powerful. It immobilizes an enemy and stops them from acting for a whole minute, as long as they don't take damage. This is super useful when I'm fighting too many enemies, and I need to thin their numbers since I don't want to waste the steps running away. After turning those quests in, another storyline was complete. Already 2 out of 7 storylines done, and I'm not even 4,000 steps into the zone. I thought the run to the crossroads would be a pretty big use of my steps. However, the game gives me my second Kodo shooting minigame as it carries me all the way to the crossroads, still under 4,000 steps. The crossroads is the most central hub to the zone, thus the name, so I make sure to set my hearth, grab the flight path, and figure out where to go next. The Barrens is notorious for being a collectathon of animal parts, so for those quests, I was hoping to get them along the way while I completed the others. So, it was off to the first Oasis. 500 steps or so later and we arrive. We are actually completing 2 storylines at the same time right now. One regarding the Forgotten Pools, and another regarding the Kolkar Centaurs. Each pool has a couple of quests regarding the Centaurs, but only a few of the quests are actually required to progress the story. So I collect some shrooms, kill the Kolkar leader, get some booty, and head back to town. While in town, I stop by the bag vendor on my way past to upgrade my inventory. He sells 10-slot bags, and I was still rocking some 8-slots, so it helped a lot. I kill my last few zebra for their hooves outside of town and turn it in to see the quest I've been waiting for, a Chayaki. A Chayaki is a white lion who is the perfect target for taming in this zone. As well as only being found as a rare mob in one other area of the game, it feels like a staple of every horde hunter in WoW. Unfortunately, a Chayaki's den is in the northwest, and I won't be heading that way for a while, so it'll have to wait. With almost 6,700 steps in the zone, I'm off to the second Oasis accompanied by this bird. This time, of the 2 Kolkar quests available, I only need to do the one to collect some pieces of information from their tents. Unfortunately, their tents are pretty spread out, and I didn't want to aimlessly run between them, so instead, I focus on the other quest I have to take this bird up the neighboring mountain. I kinda messed up with this one. I couldn't figure out the proper way to get up there, so I keep circling it counterclockwise. Eventually, I find a shallow enough slope on the southwest corner of the mountain, and after a long 650 step detour around and then to the top, I see that there was an easier path, right next to where I had started on the northwest side. Nevertheless, I launch myself off the ledge after completing the quest, back down to the Oasis, and after a little more exploring, I find the final piece of information and a new cloak. I'm then sent to kill a Centaur leader's wife and then him. The people of the Barrens really don't like these Centaurs. Instead of heading back to the crossroads this time, I decide I'm close enough to Ratchet to head there instead. One epic fence skip later, and I've gotten the flight path, opening easier travel between the main 2 hubs of the Barrens. I've crossed 10,000 steps in the zone now, and I'm sent west to a small outpost where they want me to kill another Centaur. This guy is in the Oasis that hosts the Wailing Caverns. I don't have the steps I'd need to do the dungeon right now, so I focus on the Kolkar quest. This Centaur eludes me. I scour the marked zone for him, draining step after step, but as it turns out, he patrols the whole area. So instead of wasting 415 steps like I did, I probably could have just stood still and he would have shown up. With Hezrul's head in hand, I make the long walk back to the outpost. Just this quest alone was about 1,500 steps. That's almost the distance from Orgrimmar all the way to the Valley of Trials. But the final Kolkar storyline quest unlocks, Counterattack. This is no ordinary quest. It recommends 3 players. This would mean I don't have to solo it according to my rules because it's group specific content. However, I haven't been punished too badly yet, so I start the assault. Waves and waves of Centaurs spawn as I clear them out with ease, but then the boss spawns along with a few adds. I stand firm, refusing to waste steps on him, but he hits pretty hard. I thought I had the fight won when another random Centaur spawns and joins in. Why don't you just kite the enemies, I can hear you say. Well, I'm stupid. But also, I have feigned death. All I had to do now was let my pet win the... Oh. The caster Centaur cast an area of effect ability on my now dead corpse, and I'd suffered my first real death of the account. I respawned not really knowing where the closest spirit healer was. My add-on does continue to count steps when you're ghost walking, so it's never really a good idea to die. As it turns out, I had to spend almost 400 steps to return to my body. A waste of steps for sure, but it could have been much worse. Hopefully, I don't die again anytime soon. With the quest turned in, I finished the Kolkar storyline. That's 4 out of 7 complete. I decided it's time to cross off the first requirement to complete this zone. After a short run north, I find a Chayaki's lair. I blow the horn to summon and tame my new companion. A classic of the zone, welcome to the squad, Step Lion. I'm currently planning to keep Fitbit permanently and cycle through the second pet for each zone. Do you guys like this plan, or would you prefer me to cycle through Fitbit as well? Please let me know down below in the comments. A quick hearth to the crossroads and flight down to Ratchet get me to the next set of quests. I'm at less than 500 steps left for the day, so I'm hoping I can get a lot done. After a while, I'm sent down the coast to blow up a ship. They say cool guys don't look at explosions, so I must be really cool because I don't even notice the countdown, and I get blown up as a result. Now, after my second death of the session, I get sent to the spirit healer right outside of Ratchet and start the ghost run back to my body. This sucked, especially dropping below 3,000 steps left for the day. I end up spending 600 steps returning to my body. That's 1,000 steps spent today alone just on deaths. I have a few more quests left to do here off of the coast on a little island. I grab Glump's booty, raid a ship, and head back to the coast to destroy some crates. After all of that, I learned from my mistake. Literally. I let the mobs kill me and send me directly back to Ratchet with only 1 minute of resurrection sickness. Realistically, this death warp only saved me around 200 steps, but I'm hoping to find some more death warps down the road that save me a lot more. With the last few quests of Ratchet done, I've finished another storyline. As I head out of town to meet the boat captain though, I run out of steps for the first 2 days of the Barrens. I definitely got a lot done despite my deaths. I had spent 19,514 steps so far, and I estimate I wasted at least 2,400 of them. That means I had wasted about 12% of my steps, or was only being about 88% efficient. I think that's actually pretty great considering I'm doing most of these quests blind, so I'm interested to see how that compares to other zones later. I log and combine 2 days worth of steps again here after not playing for a couple of days. They total up to 21,606 steps, which makes this days 3 and 4 of Northern Barrens in real life walking. After this zone, I start playing with just 1 day's worth of steps at a time to make it more clear how many real life days I've spent in a zone. I think this is important to the challenge for clarity going forwards. As I start the day and finish my climb up the hill, I meet the boat captain and he gives me another very generous ferry. This one taking me all the way up the river to the northernmost point of the zone. It was pretty crazy and saved me easily over 1,000 steps. Once I arrive at Nozzlepot's outpost, I gain access to the next quests. Again, not all of these are necessary to completing the storylines, so I find the ones I need and head west after grabbing the flight point. At this point, I have completed 46 quests in the Northern Barrens, meaning I should only have around 20 or so left, and I'm at 435 steps per quest in the zone. This has brought my overall average down to about 528 steps per quest so far. This is no doubt because of all the super generous ferries in the zone so far covering thousands of steps. As I get to questing, it's a long straight walk to my waypoint and I'm able to complete all of my objectives quickly before making the long walk back. There were actually 4 short quests here, so they all end up being quite step efficient despite the long walk there and back. Especially this next quest, which is literally to walk 24 steps over and turn it in. Instead of giving me another ferry this time, the game simply teleports me to the turn-in point, meaning I only had to spend 8 steps for this quest. The designers definitely seem to hate walking between quest points. The next quest is to collect some bolts from some buckets left out in the open. Easy stuff. And when I turn it in, I'm offered another teleport back to the initial turn-in point. Before I accept it though, I realize that I'm pretty close to the Morshan ramparts at the north of the zone. I start running toward it to discover it, but I get worried that it's actually a part of the next zone because it's labeled on the map as Ashenvale. I don't want to accidentally leave the zone, so I turn back. This ended up wasting almost 400 steps, but it's definitely better than messing up my challenge. I teleport back to Nozzlepots for the next quest. Now, I'm not sure if this is an oversight by the game or not, but there are no quest indicators on the map for the quest Read the Manual. I actually had to read the quest to learn where I'm supposed to go, which is the mine in the very northeast. I thought this was a bit ironic. The mobs here have a slight chance to drop pages for the manual, so I had to kill a few of them. 10 to be exact. With some patience and pet pulls, I managed to conserve my steps as much as possible before going back to turn it in. I hit a milestone for the account here when I ding level 30. I'm not using Chromie Time for this challenge so far, so all of the classic zones only scale to level 30. To adhere to my rule of not over-leveling, I take the flight path directly back to Orgrimmar and find the NPC that disables my experience gain, locking me to level 30 for the foreseeable future. I hearth to the crossroads and fly back to Nozzlepots to save those steps, so after a quick detour of only around 550 steps, I'm back to questing. The next quest makes me return to the mine, as though I yearn for them. This one is worse than the last though, because I'm looking for an emerald, which is a random drop off of any enemy here. After pet pulling and killing 17 more miners, the emerald finally drops and I'm out of here. For the last quest at Nozzlepots, you guessed it, another ferry. This one is pretty funny as they intend to send you to the crossroads, but the rocket you're riding malfunctions and ends up sending you way far west. But once I land and turn in the quest, I've completed the second to last storyline of the zone. With only one more storyline to complete, I feel like I've blasted my way through the Barrens. I go off to kill some harpies for the next quest, and once I'm done, this happens. Some quests in the game don't even require you to turn in the quest to the quest giver, so you can just turn them in and accept the next one wherever you are. Obviously this saves steps, so I continue deeper into the Harpy Den, slaying the Slayers and eventually their leader Serena. The game does require me to run back to her with head in tow, which I respect. The Barrens has given me so many fairies and ways to save steps that I still have around 15,500 steps left for the session. The quest giver then tells me to head back to the crossroads, and with my Hearthstone on cooldown and plenty of steps left in the bank, I make the run. Once I had spent about 900 steps to get back, you guessed it, another fairy, this time taking me north. At this point, I have one storyline left to complete, one unexplored area to discover, and one dungeon needing completing. I'm definitely close to being done with the zone. They send me up another mountain to fell some fell demons, and I launch myself off the cliff back to turn it in. For the final time, I promise, another fairy. That's a total of 8 fairies in this zone alone. I'm not sure why the quest designers at Blizzard wanted to streamline this zone so much, but I sure am getting great value out of my steps. The final caravan raiders are blasted and I arrive at the Morshan Ramparts, earning the exploration achievement. As it turns out, this is still in the Northern Barrens despite being labeled as Ashenvale. And once I turn in the final quest, the second achievement pops, indicating I've completed all of the storylines in the zone. This crosses off the second and third requirements for me completing the Northern Barrens. The only thing left to do is the Wailing Caverns. I actually fly down south first and complete the Raptor Silver quest, as it's listed online as required and I didn't want to disrespect the holy text just yet. I then head over to the dungeon. After fighting my way through the mobs by the entrance cave, I get to the portal with about 11,750 steps left. So, let's talk about my new dungeon fee system. Previously, I had a flat fee of 10,000 steps per dungeon to enter, as my step add-on doesn't work within dungeons. After some of your feedback, I've decided to change how it works. Dungeons come in all shapes and sizes, so a flat fee didn't seem to make sense. A scaling fee based on how many bosses were in the dungeon would be the easiest way to do it. Now, I'm sure a few of you will think this is overkill, but I'm setting the scaling fee at 2,000 steps per boss. Dungeons are meant to be a challenge in the normal game, so to make them a challenge for me, I needed to give them a decent fee. Almost like they're a boss fight at the end of every zone. With that being said, don't be mad, but Wailing Caverns has 8 listed bosses, making its entrance fee 16,000 steps. I'm super happy to pay this fee, as it also slows my progress through the game. I'm earning steps every single day in the real world, and I just don't have the time to play/edit over 70,000 steps a week in-game with a full-time job and other responsibilities. I'm happy with the system, so I hope you guys understand. With all of that out of the way, I am short some steps to pay the fee of 16,000, so I log out here to get some more steps another day. This is where I finished my first full week of real-life steps and managed to hit an average of 10k steps a day for the whole week. I'm hoping that even if I turn up short a few times, I can keep my average at 10k over the course of every week. On day 5 of the Northern Barrens, I had 11,744 steps left over from the previous day, and I add another 11,517 steps to make my current limit 23,261. Plenty to cover the Wailing Caverns fee of 16,000. I pay the fee and recruit 3 of my friends to help me out. My friends have actually banded together and decided to make a support team for Solemate. They all made Tauren with Moo in their name, and they call themselves the Movers. I absolutely love it. So without further ado, Solemate and the Movers tackle the Wailing Caverns. I got a lot of good gear upgrades from this dungeon, and had a great time doing it. With the achievement in hand, I hearth away and fly back to the Morshan Ramparts. After over 29,000 steps in the Northern Barrens, and over 100,000 steps total, the zone is complete. All storylines complete, all areas explored, all dungeons complete, and a new pet for the squad. I landed at the border of the next zone, ready to continue my next challenge, Ashenvale. But that will have to wait until next video. When I log out here at the end of the Northern Barrens, I've completed 71 quests within the zone, at an average of 409 steps per quest. That is a crazy low steps per quest, and it's probably because of all the fairies helping me out. Overall, I've done a total of 172 quests across the whole playthrough so far, which leaves me at a total average right now of 600 steps per quest. If there's any other stats you'd like me to keep track of, please let me know. I'll put some on screen right now, but I always appreciate your feedback in the comments. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed my journey through the Northern Barrens. Your support has truly been great. The add-on will hopefully have a version out in the next couple of weeks for you guys to enjoy. I'm sorry it's been a little slow, I've been very busy lately, so I apologize for that. As always, get out there, get some steps, and I'll see you next time.